Have you ever wondered what really keeps a person going into their 90s and beyond? Not just alive, but alive with spirit? When we picture someone in their 90s, it's easy to imagine frailty, quiet afternoons, and a life that is mostly slowed to a gentle halt. But then you meet someone who breaks that image completely. Someone who's 93, sharp as ever, still laughing, still living. And you think, how? The answer, as it turns out, is more subtle than we might expect. It's not just about perfect cholesterol or daily exercise. Not everyone who lives past 90 followed a flawless health regime. Some never quit coffee. Some have a sweet tooth. Some even smoke for a decade or two in their youth. But across the board, researchers, doctors, and families notice something else. A certain pattern in how they see the world, how they adapt, and how they treat each day. A resilience that isn't loud. A mindset that carries them through. So today, let's take a closer look. Not at the pills or the routines, but at the soul habits of people who reach 90 and still feel deeply alive. These are 3 quiet truths you can begin to practice at any age. And maybe, by the end of this video, you'll find a piece of yourself in their story. Part 1. They don't let life shrink. People who live past 90 have a surprising trait in common. They keep expanding, even when the world expects them to shrink. As the years go on, there's pressure, subtle and real, to pull back, to retire not just from work, but from engagement, to stop traveling, stop trying new things, stop putting ourselves in new situations. And yet, those who live the longest often do the opposite. They adapt, yes, but they refuse to disappear. This doesn't mean they're always out and about. It doesn't mean they climb mountains. What it means is they stay mentally active, socially connected, and emotionally engaged. They say yes more than no. They say, why not more than what's the point? Let's take Hazel, for example. Hazel is 92 and lives in Winnipeg, Canada. She used to run a small flower shop, but after retirement, she felt herself slipping into a slower rhythm she didn't love. So she joined a memoir writing class at her community center. I wanted to remember what I'd forgotten, she said. Today, she writes 2 pages every morning, not for publication, just for her. Or consider Thomas, 90, from Dorset, England. His knees aren't what they were, and he gave up gardening after a fall. But instead of withdrawing, he signed up for a local virtual history club. Every Wednesday, he discusses Roman ruins over Zoom. It gives me something to look forward to, he told his daughter, and someone to talk to. Longevity, it turns out, often belongs to those who stay interested in life, not necessarily energetic, not necessarily extroverted, but curious, connected, open. The body will change. That's inevitable. But the mind, the heart, the inner world, those can keep expanding well into our 90s. And in that expansion, we find energy, purpose, and life. Part 2, they find meaning in ordinary days. Another common thread, they don't need something dramatic to feel grateful. People who live well into their 90s often have a gift, the ability to find meaning in the plainest parts of life. They don't wait for perfect weather or exciting news or a special event. They wake up, look around, and notice. This deep noticing becomes its own form of medicine. It anchors the nervous system. It stabilizes mood. It quiets the urge to chase or compare. And it offers a kind of emotional immunity that keeps stress, bitterness, and boredom from taking over. Irene, 96, lives alone in a small flat in Bristol. Every morning, she prepares her tea, folds her napkin, and sits by the same east-facing window. She doesn't rush. She doesn't scroll. She looks. I watch the sky change colors, she said in an interview, and that alone makes me feel like I have something rich. Meaning doesn't have to come from achievement. Sometimes it comes from rhythm, from ritual, from the fact that you took care in how you made your coffee. And this deep attention protects us in later years. As outer rewards shift, careers end, friends move, families change, the ability to cherish a moment becomes a new wealth. It sustains those who no longer need to prove anything. Long life requires emotional grounding, and grounding comes from gratitude, not performative gratitude, not forced positivity, but the quiet, honest kind. The kind you feel when you smell cut grass or hear a familiar voice or take the first bite of something warm. This way of seeing transforms ordinary days into a kind of spiritual nourishment. And those who do it tend to live longer and more deeply. Part 3. They keep their hearts open. Perhaps the most overlooked factor in living past 90 is emotional openness. We talk a lot about hearts in a physical sense. Blood pressure, cholesterol. But what about the symbolic heart? The place in us that hopes, that bonds, that forgives. People who live long lives often keep this heart open, even after loss, disappointment, and grief. They still form connections, still offer love, still receive it. And not because they've never been hurt, but because they haven't let hurt close them off completely. Edith, a 95-year-old widow in Perth, Australia, joined an intergenerational dance group. At first, she felt silly. They're all in their 20s. She laughed. But a young woman named Claire asked if she could walk Edith to the tram after class. A friendship began. It reminded me that I still matter, Edith said. Even now. These are the small moments that extend life in ways no supplement can. Being seen, being loved, giving something of yourself. Even when you feel invisible, keeping the heart open isn't about being endlessly cheerful. It's about continuing to participate in human connection, even if quietly, even if slowly, even if you've been disappointed before. And this emotional engagement protects against isolation, one of the most dangerous conditions for the elderly. The World Health Organization has called loneliness a global health risk. But those who stay emotionally present, who still connect, share, forgive, and care, seem to resist its grip. In the end, love may be the most powerful medicine of all. So what do people who live past 90 all have in common? They stay engaged with their world, with their heart, with each new day. They don't live by rules. They live by quiet principles. To stay curious, to find meaning, to give and receive love. They know the body will change, but the spirit, that can keep growing. And as it grows, it nourishes the body in return. So maybe the real path to longevity doesn't begin in the gym or the grocery store. Maybe it begins in the morning light, in the choice to reach out, in the willingness to stay open. What quiet habit or mindset has helped you live more fully after 50? I'd love to hear your reflections. If this video brought something to life in you, feel free to share it with someone who might need it. Until next time, keep your days wide, your heart soft, and your eyes open. You're still very much alive. Let life know it.